Hi there.
Hello, Michelle. How are you? Let me
I'm
see.
good.
Okay. Sending me all kinds of messages. So thanks for scheduling this. So
Yeah.
um, what I just let me lay out what we can hopefully accomplish, and that is
Okay.
you sent me a message about something going on with your dog, and
Yeah.
I really need a little more information so that I can make a
Okay.
suggestion or a recommendation or something.
Okay.
That's the purpose. So I'll ask you, we can't, in the time frame that we have, we can't really, explore everything,
Sure.
but we'll try to get to the main things and see if we can uncover some clues, because sometimes
Okay.
clues are right there, but we don't always see them as clues. It's
Right. Yes.
like reading a good thriller. You go back when you're done and say, oh yeah, I see what that. So
Sure.
yeah, I just finished a good one. That's why that was like on the top of my mind. I can't believe. So okay. So your puppy is how old now?
She's 2. She's just over 2,
Three
actually.
years old. Okay, so she's not really a puppy anymore. And how old was she? It's a she, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
How old was she when you first got her? About.
Probably, I think 8 weeks,
Okay.
12 weeks, like the soonest they'll let you go home with them. And she was a stray, a litter of 9 whose mom was hit by a car and brought into a shelter. And so she was bottle fed, like she was that young that they were needing to bottle feed her and couldn't even send them out yet. They needed to be, they were actually kept in homes with some of the people that worked at the shelter.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's really too bad. So how old were the puppies, do you know, when the mom was hit by a car?
Like, I feel like they told me 4 weeks. Yeah.
Right. And so for about 4 weeks they were fostered and bottle fed and all of that until they were old enough.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Um, and so she's 2 years old. Okay. So what's her name?
Cora.
What is it?
Cora, like spelled like quarantine, Quara. We got her
Oh,
during quarantine. So we named her Cora. Everyone thinks it's Cora, but it's actually with a Q.
okay. Okay. All right. That makes sense. Um, all right. And her name is Cora. She's 2 years old. And is she a mixed breed or purebred, as far as you know?
She's a mixed breed. Yeah. One of her litter mates got tested and they were predominantly Australian Shepherd with some pit, I think. And then the rest was all small amounts. Now we don't know if there were multiple dads, but they
Yeah.
all looked very similar. So I
Yeah.
don't know.
Okay. All right. So
We thought she was a Catahoula, and every vet we meet thinks she's a Catahoula, but
interesting.
her
Yeah.
litter mates did not have Catahoula in them.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Looks are deceiving. I mean, that happens all the time. People say, oh, this dog looks like, such and such.
hmm
Then you do DNA and get it back and go, oh, that happened to me with the dog that I adopted. I'm all these guesses of what it is, and what it came back was like totally different. So
Right.
anyway, all right. So tell me about the behavior that you're concerned about right now. What does that look like?
Oh, okay, so it happens in multiple scenarios, but they probably have some overlap. One is first thing in the morning, want to go outside. Second, I go outside with her, barking incessantly at me, nipping my feet, jumping to nip my like wrists or my arms, or she'll nip like my jacket until we get moving, and then she usually does pretty well.
Okay.
Um, the same kind of thing happens when we're walking, like if we're out on a trail. she's really never on a leash. It's very rare she's on a leash, because we live out in the country, in the mountains. And so if we're walking, everything is going great. We'll come across some people. She'll meet the people. She started to do like a little howling when she meets certain people, which is actually quite new. That's maybe the last 6 months, where she'll like come up, seem like she's interested, and then like sound the alarm, the same alarm we get when there's someone on our property. But if she does that or not, either way, what generally happens is once we pass that person, she starts losing her mind again, jumping, barking, nipping at me, nipping along my whole body. Sometimes I can't get her to stop at all. So we've started to put a harness on her where I can grab her a little bit more, and if I can calm her, she usually will just like go back to doing her sniffing and happy and walking. But if I can't catch her, I think she thinks I'm playing with her, that I'm trying to grab her, and she'll get even crazier.
Mhm.
So the other strategy we've tried is just simply turning our backs to her and saying no. And then she'll kind of recognize we're not playing and she'll just go do her own thing. That works probably like 75% of the time. But the other 25%, she's just out of her mind. And then it'll happen sometimes too when we just stop, right? So we're out, like we went out skiing with her the other day. We
Uh-huh.
climbed up this mountain. She was happy the whole time. Got to the top. We're about to transition into our downhill setup. And she just suddenly lost her mind. Like again, barking, nipping, she'll bite on my skins, on my skis. It's always like nipping, right? It's not like she's never bitten me, like hurting me, but she will nip at me. And then once we get going, she's happy again. So that kind of captures the main times that happens. And if she's really tired, she doesn't do it as much. So like if we run her, like yesterday we ran her for 10 miles, we were biking, she ran, she loved it. She was so happy the whole time. And then she was super chill the rest of the day, like didn't nip at us, was very loving. Yeah.
Physically tired.
And then I guess the only other time it happens actually is if we're dancing. If we're dancing at home, like me and my husband, if we're dancing, she'll get like super jazzed and start doing that. She mostly jumps on us for that one instead of like the nipping heels, but it like the barking, like incessant barking, happens.
Mhm. Okay.
So that's that. And then the other thing that I mentioned is she does have some anxiety where she'll start shaking. The last time she did that was with our vet, and like climbed on top of me, wants to like lean in, wants to make sure we're touching, shaking the whole time. She does that with like unexpected things sometimes too. Like she did it with a fishing pole once. Um, yeah. So that's the other habit that's coming up.
Yeah, and they're not unrelated. I'm sure. I can't.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, yeah. Um, the connection isn't crystal clear at this point because there's some information that's still not
Yeah.
for me. But the anxiety and the overreaction that you describe, the reaction to movement, that's just a dog um, that's not processing the environment in a normal way,
Okay.
and not doesn't have the ability to self-regulate. And little
Right.
babies don't. I mean, little babies are just little babies and little
Yeah.
children. But as they mature and as they grow up, they learn how to do that. We teach
Yeah.
them, good manners and all that stuff. So from what you're telling me, it sounds like um, one of the main things that triggers her is movement. Um, movement. So if you're like you said, first thing in the morning when you take her outside, um,
Hmm.
instead of just going around and sniffing around and doing her business, she's nipping and jumping and grabbing your clothing and all of that. So uh,
Yeah. Until we get going, right? If I'm going to take her on a walk, once we like get off the deck and she knows we're going on a walk, she just goes and does her own thing. She's totally happy. It's like the getting going. And it actually starts like she knows that we're about to go outside together. Like when I'm putting my socks on, when I'm
Oh,
putting my socks on, she starts losing her mind. Then I start putting my shoes on, and then she starts chewing my shoes, and then she starts like losing her mind with it, butt barking, and yeah,
yeah. And we, we give dogs all kinds of cues all the time. And I'm sure that especially first thing in the morning, you've probably got a pretty much of a routine that you follow because, who wants to think early in the morning?
yeah,
So those things that you do, like put your socks, put your shoes on, I'm sure maybe get a jacket or,
yeah,
start heading toward the door. And those are the big obvious things that would be evident to any person watching you. But there's another whole level of other cues that we give off and we don't even realize we're doing it.
yeah,
Dogs
hmm
know, the dogs see that.
yeah,
So yeah, so she's getting this whole sequence, and they're layered one on top of the other, that she keeps getting all these cues and cues and cues, and she's getting more and more excited because she doesn't know how to get to that middle road to regulate her own
yeah,
excitement. It's one thing for dogs to be excited and maybe bouncing around and happy and pacing and prancing and that kind of thing, which is understandable. I mean, it's normal, but what you're describing is over the top, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
And it scares people, right? Like if
yeah,
she does it
yeah,
to someone else, other people get scared, and I'm like, this really is harmless, but like yeah, people get scared.
yeah, yeah. Sure. It's a dog they don't know coming at them, and
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, so tell me again about what happens when you're out walking with her and you come across other people. She,
Yeah. So if we come across other people, so it's very interesting because Ginger, what is the doctor's name? I just met her.
oh,
Ginger
Ginger
Davis is
Davis?
the one who
Yeah,
referred, yeah,
yeah.
you to me. And she was talking all about nervous system regulation. And this is like my work, but with humans. So I've started to try
Oh,
to think about it in that way. So I've switched a little bit what I do when we meet people. Um, but what would normally happen is like she would run up, she would meet them, and she usually, probably about 6 months ago, it would be like very friendly, and then she'd get overly excited. Now there's sometimes that alarm that goes off, like the oh, and she'll like stop in front of them and alarm. And either or, whichever happens, she's still, once we pass them, is when she starts to do all of her like hyperactivity stuff. So now what I've started to do is I've started to keep consistent contact with her as we approach people. So she knows the command stay with me because um we have snowmobiles and stuff, and like snowmobiles won't see her. So when there's like motorized people around, I'll say stay with me. So she knows that, and she'll heal really well. So I'll say stay with me, and we'll go like that whole way, stay with me, and then maybe I pet her, stay with me, and we can pass, and everything goes okay, usually. So like if I make more contact with her the whole time, she
mhm,
can get through it.
mhm.
So there's been a little of that happening, but generally it's the freak out.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so tell me what kind of work you do, because it's will probably mean that I don't have to do a lot of explaining things to you that I might do to someone else. So what is it that you do?
Yeah, so I work with nervous system regulation. I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner. I work with people with pain, which generally is considered like a dysregulation of the nervous system, like there's too much fight or flight. So we work a lot with coming out of fight or flight or bringing someone out of like dorsal vagal or collapse. So we're like working on building like all these things, building window of tolerance, learning how to regulate, about co-regulation. Like I talk to people about this stuff all the time.
Mhm.
I'd never really thought about it with my dog, which is weird. But when Ginger brought it up, I was like, oh, this makes total sense. Like, even in how, like, maybe I was getting excited when we meet people. Like, I've been trying to stay super calm when we meet people, like, things like that to help her know that, like, we can be here together and not, super excitement levels.
She
um,
She absolutely, from what you're telling me, um, she absolutely needs nervous system regulation. She
Yeah.
sounds like she goes into dorsal vagal like boom, just like that, without any,
Yeah.
yeah. And then once, and it's probably the same thing with people, once you're there, you don't come back that easily or that quickly.
Right.
So
Yeah.
it takes time and it takes practice. So one of
Yeah.
the things that I do with my clients, it's so interesting that you do this work. Um, One of the things that I do with my clients is I teach them practices probably similar to what Ginger Davis is saying. We haven't been in touch for a while. I need to contact her again. She just moved. And so she was
Hmm.
like all, discombobulated because
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a huge move. So I was giving her time to chill out, but we need to discuss this even more. So what I do is I teach people how to do specific practices with their dogs so that they can teach the dogs to self-regulate, to come out of fight or flight and come it back into rest and digest.
Yeah.
So that, so there's specific, and the practices have a parallel with what you would do with humans, but obviously you can't do exactly the same thing because
Yeah.
they're dogs, so you have to modify.
Yeah.
um One of the things that we do, and this is probably something that you teach your clients to do too, is breathing, you know deep
Oh, yeah.
exercises, and dogs can learn how to do that. um
Interesting.
Yeah. And when they do that, they can't be breathing and being panicky at the same time.
Right.
It's two different
Yeah.
parts of the brain, which I'm sure, Uh,
Right. I can't
so,
believe you can teach a dog breathing
oh
practices.
yeah, you can. It's amazing. It's amazing.
That's
I
super
actually,
cool.
yeah, I actually do that with horses because I work with horses too. Um, and if a horse is getting, because horses are really fight or flight. I mean, they're not, they're flight.
Oh, yeah.
They're like
Yeah.
99% flight. Very rarely will they fight. If
Yeah.
they're scared, they're out of there. So if a horse
Yeah.
is starting to get anxious or worried, and you can see that in their body language, I'll just start to do deep breathing, like close to them. Take a deep breath,
Yeah.
then let it out in a sigh so that they can hear it. And then you start to see their nostrils flare, and you'll start to see their
Okay.
mouth work, their tongue, and their licking and chewing. And then again, that's
Hmm.
like, mimicking eating. And if they're eating, they're not scared, because if they were scared, they wouldn't eat.
Yeah.
So
Right.
yeah, so we do a lot of those things, and I have
Okay.
um, a system. And just to comment on something that you described, like keeping her with you.
Wait.
The one thing I would say, I mean, it's
One
good
second.
that you're
Wait.
keeping what?
1 second. Hold on.
Go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Am I back?
Yes,
Can you hear me?
yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. Someone someone literally just stole my headphones. I was suddenly listening to some really chill jazz music. Okay, I heard you say I have a system, and then I
Yeah.
was listening to jazz.
Okay. Okay. Weird. Okay. So,
Hmm?
I to kind of explain a little bit about what it is, just to give you a general idea. Um, I want to refer back to what you said a little while ago about what you do to help Quara.
Cora.
When I had to look, when you're about to meet people, you try to keep her connected with you, which is a good thing. The only thing I would say is that when you give a dog instruction about what to do, when they're
Yeah.
already on the verge of getting stressed and becoming
Yeah.
overreactive, it's very hard for them to process the instruction. And what that might end up being is more of a suppression of that emotion
Uh,
instead of a healthy expression. So
okay.
what we do is we start out by validating the dog's freedom to express their emotions. We validate it.
Okay.
We don't try to stop them at first,
Yeah.
because what we're aiming for is self-regulation. We want the dog to make
Yeah.
a choice on her own to be calm. Because
Interesting.
and
Right.
because
Okay.
calmness is it's a feeling. It's not a
Mhm.
behavior. You can't train it. Dog has to
Yeah.
feel it and choose it. So
Yeah.
that's basically what we do. We go through the steps of teaching the dog to choose
Okay.
calm. And it's a gradual step-by-step process, and some of the dogs go more quickly than others, but I really have to put together before and after videos, because some of them are just like, they blow my mind, of dogs
Yeah.
that, before barking, frantic. And then the after video, the dog is just lying down, watching the stuff out the window and just kind of watching the world go by, just
Hmm.
completely relaxed. So it really,
Okay.
it works for the same reason it works with people.
Yeah.
People
Exactly.
don't realize. I mean, even somebody in your position said, "Oh, I never thought of, doing
I
this
know.
with my dog." And people
I
don't,
know.
most people don't think of it.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
so anyway, that's it. Do you have any questions so far about anything I've said
Well,
at this point?
yeah. I mean, I think it all feels like in alignment with how I would love to train a dog, anyways. I wonder how you do it remotely, and yeah. So that's kind of where my mind's going next.
Okay. Yes, and I always do it remotely, especially with dogs that are reactive to strangers, because,
Sure. Yeah.
you know, and most of my clients are like all over the place anyway, so I wouldn't be able to meet with them in person.
Yeah.
Um, but even if they live next door, remote is better. So the way it works is two uh, um, meetings like this on Zoom, 1-to-1,
Okay.
twice a month, and then twice a month, group meetings where the whole group gets together and we brainstorm and share ideas and comment, which is it's a wonderful kind of collaboration, and I think people get a lot out of it. And then there's also office hours. So right now,
Okay.
office hours are once a week, and then there's a community website, not Facebook. It's a private community website where you can go in and post. So in the one-on-one meetings, some of it is just teaching and me describing and telling you what, explaining the next step in the process. But a lot of it is also reviewing videos, because people, when you send
Okay.
me a video, if we're going to have a meeting, very shortly in a couple of days, then I'll wait for the meeting and go over it with you. But if we're not scheduled for a meeting for like a week, then I will respond. A lot of times, I'll respond with a video. So I'll do a screen
Okay.
share of that video, and then I'll go through it and I'll say, here's what I see, here's what I recommend, and all of that. There's
Okay.
a lot of, I mean, on the community website, you can reach out to me anytime at all.
Okay.
Office hours are once a week, when I will actually be, you don't have to be there, but I will be there responding to everything that's there.
Okay.
So that's it. We just go through the program step by step by step. We start by, some of it is counterintuitive, because our culture has taught us that we have to control these dogs. We have to direct them. We have to
Right.
give them instructions. We have to train them and teach them. And in a lot of cases, that's true, except when a dog is in emotional distress. Then
Yeah.
learning is not going to help. We can't, training and learning is not going to help. We have to deal with the emotional distress. So
Yeah.
so that's basically what it is. It's taking the emotional. I mean, once we start going through it, you could probably teach the thing yourself because of your background and what you do, because it's
Well,
basically, yeah. And I also, I mentioned that I work with horses, and I assist as a volunteer. I assist the equine occupational therapy instructor. And it's very interesting because with those, most of the clients are children, some of them are adults, and they're a lot of times have, pretty significant disabilities, but the client leads the lesson. And
yeah.
that's kind of what we do with the dogs. We let the dogs lead. And so that means that we have to really become very fine-tuned in our observation skills. We have to really learn how to read what we see in front of us, really assess the feedback that we're getting from the dog, and then make our next decision based on that feedback. So
Yeah, what's so crazy is with humans, I can reach out and touch them. I can use my words to provide encouragement. Literally, I don't know what to do in the moment when Cora is running around me so fast that I can't catch her. And no matter what I do, she seems to continue that unless I ignore her. So it's a very different thing with animals, because a human, I can use their cognition to bring them back in. Like, okay, wait, here we are, we're together, right? I can use my words and get them to re-engage. I can't seem to do that with Cora.
that's one of the practices.
So then I'm like,
yeah, one of the practices that I teach, and it's not, I didn't originate it. This is from another program that has been hugely successful with dogs that are reactive, and I'm taking that practice because it's so helpful. And what it does is put the dog in a cognitive state. When
wow.
the dog, yes, yeah, when the dog is like you just described, running around and you can't grab her, you can't touch her, that's not a teachable moment.
Yeah, right.
So it's like
Yeah.
a person, if a human you were working with was in the midst of a full-blown panic attack,
Yeah.
that's not a teachable moment.
Yeah.
Because they can't. And
yeah,
it's the same with a dog. When she's that,
yeah,
I'm not saying she's having a panic attack, but when she's so aroused and so over the top, she's in that she's almost in that shutdown mode, because shutdown normally is withdrawal.
yeah.
Almost look like it fools people, and they think the dog is being compliant.
It's calm. Yeah.
When they're really just shutting down and withdrawing and just closing down. But it can also be highly active, like spinning in circles, like
yeah, like she's dissociated.
Yeah, and they can't think. So that's not your training opportunity when she's doing that.
Yeah.
Training opportunities are structured and organized and planned in advance, so that when she gets to the point, what our goal is that when she gets to the point where she has to make a decision, should I go into my spinning in circles mode, which makes me feel crappy, or should I go into my calm, focused mode, which makes me feel happy?
Yeah.
Which one am I going to choose? So that's where we're going. And when we see the dogs making those, oh my gosh, when I see those videos of a dog that used to frantically bark out the window anytime somebody walked by the house, and the dog goes over, looks, somebody's walking by, okay, and goes down. Oh my God. So yeah,
Yeah.
it still blows me away, even though I'm expecting it, and I know that
Yeah.
this is how this is the course of the process. It's still, I mean, it still blows me away.
Yeah.
So so anyway,
Okay.
that's the way it works. The
Okay.
program that I have now, I have 4 people in the program, and I keep it small. Um, because there's so much personal touch. There's so, and
Okay.
yeah, and I really need to keep track of what everybody's doing, so I keep it small. Um, and it started out as a 12-week program, but I said that's not enough. So I added on another 4 weeks. So it's a
Okay.
16-week program, and then after that there'll be something else that people can move on into. So we'll see, you know, if they're ready to do that.
Okay.
But even though I've got people who have been in it, the way it's set up, because there's so much personal back and forth between me and the client, is that the enrollment can be open in the sense that you can jump in and you can start working with your dog, because it's not like you have to finish one thing before you go to the next.
Okay.
It's
Yeah.
it's not linear like that.
Okay.
It's more I don't know, it's like we're constructing behaviors, and it does it, it's not like one step,
Yeah.
finish one step and then you go, you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So so anyway, so that's the program.
Okay.
And
Does it start with me having 2 sessions with just you? And can you tell me about the video thing? Like, do I bring a video to that
what you
of
do,
Cora?
no, what you send me the videos in advance. There's different
Okay.
ways to do it. I think the easiest way is to take a video on your phone,
Okay.
and then upload it to YouTube, make it unlisted, and email
Okay.
the link to me.
Okay. That sounds good.
The other thing that you can do, now that's if you want it to stay private. The other thing that you can do, if you want to share it with everybody, which is great. I love it when people share their videos, because there's a lot of, you know, people cheering other people on, which I love to see. The other thing you can do is go to the community site and just paste the link in there. You'll see where you
Okay.
can do that, and then the video shows up there, and you can check a little box that says notify everybody, and then I get an
Okay.
email saying somebody has posted, and then I go and look.
Okay.
And so then I
Okay.
can answer you there. And
Okay.
then even though I answer you there, or if you email it to me, I send you a response either with a video or an email response. We can still go over it in our one-on-one session.
Okay. Okay. That sounds great. And so what is the cost? How does the cost work?
Okay.
And if you want to send this to me, I know we're already over our time, but if you want to send it to me at your convenience,
a little
like
bit,
in an
not
email,
much.
that's also fine.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're not much over time. A little
Okay.
bit. And I
Okay.
always go over time, so I'm not worried.
Okay.
Unless I have something else I have to be at, but I
Yeah.
don't. And my dogs have all been quiet. Because I was out all day and I got home and everybody's like, oh, crazy. So, but they're
Mhm.
all quiet. Yeah, so what I have, because this program was launched a few months ago, and
Uh-huh.
it started out as kind of a pilot, but the people have just been doing phenomenally. So after the
Okay.
first of the year, I'm going to launch it at a much higher price and maybe add a few little
Okay.
other odds and ends. But so right now, the price tag on it now is, I think it's $29.95 or something like that. I can give you a $1,000 scholarship,
Wow. Okay. Okay.
and you can either pay in full, and there's a little perk if you pay in full, or there is a payment plan.
Okay.
So The perk, if you pay in full, is a 90-minute family Zoom call where we
Okay.
get the family together and make sure everybody's on the same page, get everybody's questions answered, and just, brainstorm this and that. People bring up stuff that's on their mind that maybe, they wouldn't otherwise get a chance to talk about. So that's the
Okay.
little incentive for paying.
Okay. And so it includes 2 sessions, just us 2, and then the community, and then there's office hours, and there's like a weekly meeting or something where people can show up and talk about things.
The weekly office hours, the way it works,
Okay.
now, I may change this. I'm going to see if people like it this way, if they want it changed, or if they want more frequent office hours, I can do that. But for now, because when I added on the extra 4 weeks, I also added office hours because I felt that that's
Okay.
what everybody needed. So right now I have them for Saturday mornings. You don't have to show up. You can post,
Okay.
there's a special section in the community for office hours. So if you
Okay.
have a question that you want answered, and maybe it would be a longer, more detailed answer, you can put that question, if there's a video accompanying it or whatever, put that question in the office hours section. Then on Saturday mornings, I think I said between 10 and 12. I think those are the times. I will go in there and I will answer everything that's in the office hours.
Okay. Oh, so it's not live. It's just that I'll
Right.
get an answer on Saturday mornings.
Right,
Okay.
right. You'll get an answer. Now, you might get a video, you might get a text answer.
Okay.
You might get, I might do a Google form and send it to you. It just depends on what
The
it is,
question.
but I will
Okay.
answer you. If you post things in the community and you check the little box that says notify everybody, I'll go in and see what you posted and then respond if that needs. if it
Okay.
needs to be.
And
Okay.
then otherwise, it sounds like there's like regular updates on strategies to work with and practices and things. Is that
Yes.
the deal?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So
Okay.
what we will do in our first meetings is I will explain the first steps that I want you to start doing with your dog. And then what I need you to do is send me the videos of how it's going. And in the beginning, it might be like, oh my God, it's not working. But you have to just be
Practice.
persistent.
Yeah.
And continue to do it, and you will start to see small changes, because we're working on emotional stability.
Yeah.
And that doesn't happen it doesn't happen in a flash.
Yeah. I know, it's interesting because I wonder if you have any like canned statements in this regard, but I think my husband's kind of like, yeah, we could just send her away and have someone fix her and then we'll get her back. And I'm like, I don't think that's how it works.
Well, let me tell you,
Like, I think you have to work with her.
let me tell you why it doesn't work. Because there's an emotional issue going on. If you add abandonment, and environment is a big chunk of what's going on with her. It's how she's processing her environment. So if you put her in a different environment with other people, you don't know what kind of practices they're going to do. Her situation is not about training. Training isn't going to solve it.
This is what I always tell my family. She listens when she's not out of her mind. Like, she'll come, she'll sit, she'll lay down, she heals, she does it all until she loses her mind.
So
she doesn't listen anymore.
So here's the thing. The people that I know or know of in this industry, the people that I follow and listen to and study with, they will often say, I don't train my dogs. I actually don't really train my dogs either in the formal traditional sense. I explain to them what I need.
Interesting.
And I wait for them to respond.
Yeah, I
This,
mean, they're social animals, right? They want the connection, right?
they want the connection. Of course they do.
Yeah.
They're
Mhm.
struggling to get it. And so
Yeah.
your situation is all about relationship. If you
Yeah.
send her away, there's no
Yeah.
relationship.
Yeah.
And when she comes back, how is she going to feel? More
Yeah.
traumatized
Yeah.
because she's been abandoned? You know,
Yeah.
that is so like a man, I have to say.
You know?
And I'll tell you why. Because what I have found working with, and honestly, most of my clients are women, because
Sure.
women understand that there's a process. Men
Right.
want it done yesterday. Just do it.
Yes.
Don't tell me.
Uh-huh.
Just,
Mhm.
you know, it's just the difference of way it is. And that's not true with all men, because I have some, you know,
Yeah.
in fact, I have uh, a client now, and it's a couple, a man and a woman, and the husband is just phenomenal with the dog. He is just amazing when, you know, he just does things naturally with that dog. So
Yeah.
I don't want to be, you know, categorized.
Sure. Yeah. Mhm.
So,
Mhm.
all right.
Okay.
So, what I can do as soon as, if you want to proceed with this, and based on what you told me, I think that this program is what you need to resolve this with your dog. I really do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't tell you that if I didn't think I could help you with it. But based on, you know, what you told me and what I've seen other people doing in this program and the results that they're getting, and especially with your background, your professional background, oh my gosh, you know, gonna be,
I hope it can be helpful.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, so that's it. And as soon as you register, you will get access to the community site, and there's a link in there to schedule your private meetings. So
Okay.
you can
Okay.
go ahead and do that. And if you don't see it right away, or if you're not sure where it is, just send me an email and I'll
Okay.
tell you what to do. But basically it's in there. It's under announcements. I'm pretty sure I put it under announcements. There's different
Okay.
categories there. And then
And how do we get the discount if you're offering
I will send you
the
a link.
pilot discount?
Yeah, I will send you a
Okay.
link that automatically does it.
Okay. Okay.
The
I'll
automatic.
have to talk about it with my husband and
Sure.
see, you know, obviously we're going to do it together. So, but I think it sounds great. I think it sounds like what I was already kind of thinking. Like I was like, she just is totally dysregulated.
Yeah.
Um, and I wanted to figure out how to help her regulate, but I wasn't totally sure how to do that. So, let me talk to him about it. And then if he feels open to it, well, I'll, you know, send me the link and I'll
Yeah.
be prepared to do that. And then if
Okay,
he is
good.
not ready, I'll let you know that too, or whatever. I'll be in touch either way.
So we can,
But
yeah, I mean, we can include him in the, I mean, the one-on-ones are, you know, I mean, kind of assume they were for
it's
you,
okay.
but certainly,
Yeah.
yeah, he
It's
can,
okay that I would be doing it, but we would be taking on the financial burden together. And also I would need him to be on board with like, yes, I will do these things with her too. So I just want to make sure he feels up for that. And then if he does, I'll probably be the one talking to you.
yeah,
But we might take you up on the family 90-minute thing that goes along with it. But I think I would primarily be the one navigating it for us.
yeah, yeah. And a lot of times what happens is when, if one person in the family starts working with the dog and then the other people see the changes and see the results, and they just sort of say, hey, you know, what's going
Can I
on
do
there?
that?
How did you do that?
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, okay.
Great.
I will email you that link, and it will
Okay.
automatically include that $1,000 scholarship.
Great. That
Okay.
sounds awesome.
All
And I'll
right.
be in touch as soon as I'm
Okay.
able to talk with
Thank
him
you,
about
Michelle.
it.
Do
Okay.
you
Thanks,
know
Marianne.
Ginger personally, or did you just watch her video?
She moved to Durango, which is where I live, and she came over as the vet that is now taking care of Cora.
Oh, yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
That is great. I'm
Yeah.
so glad I mean, this was her dream to have private practice where she did home visits. That's awesome.
Yeah,
Love it. Okay,
yeah,
great.
yeah, yeah. All
Okay.
right. Well, thanks so much.
All right, you're
Okay.
welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye.